Even watercolour beginners look like pros when they can show an effective highlight on their subject. But a secret most beginners don't know is that the highlight is already there. Let's paint some loose, splashy tomatoes, and I'll show you some options. I want a nice highlight right here, so I'm going to start with an orangey colour. I know I'm painting a red tomato, but around the highlight, it's actually a little bit lighter than the bright bold red. So I'm going for an orange to be a slightly lighter version of my red. It also always brings reds a little bit more to life. So I'm painting orange marks into my tomato shape, kind of in the area where I see slightly lighter sections on the photo. Now, it really doesn't matter if I get them in the right place. What does matter is that I try and leave that little bit of highlight where I want the highlight to be completely untouched. Otherwise, the color is just going to rush in and fill up that space. It's not the end of the world, and I'll show you a little bit more about that later on. But now let's add a little bit more of the color, a nice bold, juicy red. I don't know what it is about painting with red, but it is so exciting. I'm popping in my red and just letting the edges connect with the orange. I'm trying to resist the temptation to smoosh the colors together with my brush because I do prefer the transitions when I let the paints decide how that happens. So I'm just working my way around the tomato, around the orange shape, popping in my little bits of reds. Now, if you have a highlight on the subject, you're also going to have a very strong shadow somewhere else. And here it's going to be on this right-hand side of the tomato. So I filled it in with red, but I think we need something a little bit stronger. So I've got another color, a deeper, darker color in the red family. It's called quinacridone violet, and I love it. So I'm going to pop a little bit of that in here. And while I've got that dark color on my brush, I want to pop it into the base of the tomato, which is the other place that we see the darkest shadow. An easy way to make a nice soft shadow on the table is just to run the tip of your damp brush against that dark mark and let the color spill out. I also want to loosen that edge up a little, so I'm cleaning off my brush to make sure it just has clear water and softening off that edge till I get the effect that I like. There's no right or wrong, you just do what pleases you. Isn't painting great like that? Now, this is a bit of fun. I've been looking forward to painting these spiky little leaves and the vine. It's best not to overthink it. Just let your brush make kind of irregular little dots and dashes and zigzaggy marks. Try and get a little bit of variety in there by having thicker paint and weaker paint, just to suggest some light and shadow on that vine, and it becomes one of the easiest parts of the whole painting. It really gives it a bit of life and character, I think, this squiggly vine. Where the vine connects with the tomato is another place that it creates a little bit of a shadow, so we can pop a little more quinacridone violet in there too. And if I've got a bit of that on my brush, I can also use a little bit of the quinacridone violet to add some darker dots and dashes to my vine. It might seem strange to be putting a pinky violet colour into the green vine, but actually it's the perfect color for adding a little bit of variety to the shadow sections in the squiggly vine. I love a bit of splatter to kind of finish off the background here. And while I'm doing that, I'm wondering whether I'm happy with my shadow section. The dark section I put in is sitting a little bit too distinctly on that red, because the red was obviously a little bit drier than I thought. So I'm living dangerously and decided to soften the edge by using nice thick red paint to blend the dark section into the light section there. You see, watercolor is a lot more forgiving than people say. What you want to do is make sure that you aren't putting great gobs of water in at this stage. That water control is essential. I've got a video all about that. I'll put it up in the cards and you can watch that one later. I must be honest, I usually try and resist fiddling like this because it can be a little bit addictive. Because I softened off the dark edge in the top right hand corner, I'm kind of doing the same thing on the bottom, and giving it a little bit more depth in that base shadow that is sitting it on the table. Another secret about highlights is that what you really need is a nice strong dark to contrast against that highlight for it to be looking effective. So as the painting dries, it often lightens up, and here I'm using the green to darken up that shadow. Just like I used the violet to darken the green vine, I'm using the green to darken the violet shadow. So there's our bright white highlight created simply by not painting that section of the paper. It can be a little bit stark sometimes, and there are also times when, in the excitement of the painting, you just lose that little dry patch and forget all about it. But don't worry, all is not lost. There are other ways of going about it. This time I've got 3 little tomatoes on a vine, and I'm going about painting them the same way, starting with my nice bright orange colour and putting that in where I can see the lighter sections in each of the 3 tomatoes. I'm splashing in my light, medium and dark versions of my tomatoey red colours, but I'm not worrying too much about where the distinct highlight is. I am noticing it as I'm observing the reference that I'm working from, but my plan is to lift out the highlight rather than avoiding it. So instead of not painting, I'm going to just undo a bit of the painting. I'll show you what I mean. These 2 little tomatoes are actually touching each other, so the shadow edges are probably going to blur together and join up, which I think watercolour does in such an amazing way. Edges are a very interesting part of watercolour painting, and I've got a separate video about that I will pop in the cards for you. This loose, splashy approach to adding all these colours is such a fun way to paint, but what about that highlight? I'm just checking to see that the paper is still shiny to show that it is, so that I can tell that it is still damp, because before it dries I want to blot out a little highlight, which I'm doing by rolling up a little piece of kitchen towel and using that to suck up the damp paint where I want the highlight to be. Now, using the tissue paper like this, the kitchen towel, gives you a nice natural edge. Because I've wrinkled up the edges and twisted up the kitchen towel a little bit, I should have a nice sort of organic shape. And you can keep going, lifting up as much as you can. And you might see that it hasn't lifted it back up to bright white paper. Sometimes you get, and it depends on the different colours you're using, some of the colours will stain a little bit more than others. Sometimes you can lift it up back to pure bright white paper, and other times you get a little vague hint of the colour underneath, which can be a subtle version of the highlight. So it's one of these things. It's just very interesting to see what you get, and I think the easiest way to approach it is just be open to what happens on the page and make the most of it. That's what makes watercolour painting so exciting. Let's not forget the highlight on this last little tomato. Then we can have a go at putting in the fun green vine that is holding these 3 together. Just like I had light and dark versions of the red colours, I want to have light and dark versions of the greens too, so that the vine has got just as much interest and dimension as those tomatoes. As much as I love the loose style where the colours flow together a little bit randomly, it would be a shame if my green tops, if the leaves flowed into my tomato. So I do want to check that the tomatoes are dry before I paint all of those green leaves. The tomatoes are the star of the show, but I still want to make sure that I put some variety in the greens for the stem, for the leaves and stem here, to make sure that I've got some lights and some darks so that the whole thing looks cohesive. So you can see there are different ways that we can achieve our highlights more subtly if we use the lifting technique, and a little bit more stark and bright if we just use pure dry paper. Either way, it's the highlights that are going to bring your painting to life. And speaking of dry paper, one of the important things you need to know about watercolour is the water secret. That's in a separate video, and I'll pop it up on the screen for you to watch next.